always loved making up music. Silent films gave me an opportunity to develop this gift and also earn a living. I was brought up in Scarborough on the east coast of Yorkshire. There are no musical conservatoires there, and I was largely self-taught. My love of the moors helped me in this. Up there, I could test my ear on the natural sounds around me and jot down the notes in a little book. I could make out the overtones of the waves ebbing and flowing on the shore. I was fascinated by the sounds of the seagulls, the rising thirds of their calls differing as they glided past. It was because of this wonderful inner ear that I was about to give up my life at Scarborough and leave home. Tomorrow I would be leaving for France. I was about to embark on a great adventure, which was to change my entire life. This was the first time I'd been out of England. I was now looking at the French countryside on my way to Bouron, a tiny village station about an hour's run beyond Paris. Mrs. Delius, I presume?
Mr. Fenby, this is a pleasure. I am delighted that you have come out here to help my husband. We both appreciate your kindness very much. If only you can work together in some way, it will be so good for him. Better than all the medicines in the world. It is the dream of my life that he will be able to compose again. André, le bagage de monsieur.
How is Mr. Delius?
Delius is fairly well. He is still resting. He will be brought down for the evening meal. You will meet him then. You do play the piano.
Oh, yes.
Here we are. We've lived here for over 30 years. This is the music room, where Delius has written all his finest music.
Delius?
Yes. That was taken a long time ago.
Your bedroom is through here. I hope that you will be comfortable. I will tell Delius that you have arrived, and I'll call you when he is ready.
The atmosphere of the place was somehow sinister, and I felt ill at ease. What was I doing here? Why had I come? Music had nearly led me into the church. It had certainly converted me to the Roman Catholic faith. It had also led me here. I was playing chess one night with my father when Mother turned on the wireless for the news. There was music. But what music? I listened spellbound. and later heard the announcer say it was by Frederick Delius. Later, I read articles on Delius and his music and learnt that he was now blind and paralysed and unable to work anymore. Apparently, there were several works which he'd begun and been unable to complete. He could bear with this misfortune if only he could finish these scores. I remember how I walked for miles on the cliffs, reflecting on the helplessness of the man. What delicacy of feeling was in his music? What must such a sensitive nature be suffering? Couldn't anything be done? Of course, I'd be willing to. But how dare I presume such a thing? It was preposterous. I dismissed the idea. During the next few weeks, the conceit that I could help became an obsession. It was always there, and in the end, I couldn't sleep for it. Finally, it conquered me, and getting up in the middle of the night, I wrote to Delius, offering my help for 3 or 4 years. I'd do anything to be the means of his finishing that music. How it was going to be done? Well, God alone knew the answer to that. I told no one and waited anxiously for his reply. It came in the handwriting of his wife. Dear Mr. Fenby, I'm greatly touched by your kind and sympathetic letter and should love to accept your offer. Come here by all means as soon as you can and see if you like it. This is a lovely spot, just a quiet little village, and our house is in a big garden close to the river. But of course, we live very much alone, and you will no doubt...
Delius is waiting downstairs for you.
Thank you.
Here is Mr. Fenby.
Come in, Fenby. I'm very glad to meet you.
Well, sir, this is a great honor. I'm very proud and privileged to come here, and it's very good of you to receive me so kindly.
Did you have a pleasant journey?
Very pleasant, thank you, sir.
Now, Fenby, make yourself at home. Use everything in your part of the house as if it were your own. My music room. Oh, but tell me about yourself. Tell me a little about your musical activities in Scarborough.
Well, lately, sir, I've earned my living as relief organist at the Futurist Cinema, improvising to the films. Mostly Laurel and Hardy's.
Laurel and Hardy?
Yes, sir, they're comics.
Mein Herr, Pauline ist hier.
Rein mal, bitte. I knew Scarborough when I was a boy. We used to live at Bradford. Do you know it? A filthy place, full of factories. My father owned one. Wool. I got away from it as often as I possibly could. In the holidays, we used to take a house on the coast at Filey. I nearly got drowned on the brig once. But I used to go over to Scarborough for the cricket festivals and sit on the popular bank with a bottle of ginger pop and my sandwiches watching the play. Do they still have that German band on the Spa?
I know they've got a fine symphony orchestra. We actually have English music there now.
English music? Did you say English music? What's that? I've never heard of any. Geben Sie mir mein Bier.
I hope you like spinach. We grow all our own vegetables here, but I look after the flowers. They are my great joy.
Lesen Sie.
Edgar Wallace?
Ja. Schnell.
In Australien nannte man ihn nur den nervösen Drake. Er gab sich immer besonders feige und schüchtern. In Scotland Yard traf er erst vor kurzem eine genaue Beschreibung ein. Und wir begannen, Sussex nach einem Mann abzusuchen, der...
Bruder, carry me away.
Don't worry about that. He often gets plain at this time of the day. Now I must go to him. Excuse me.
My mind was now full of anxieties. Would I settle? Had I it in me to accustom myself to the conditions of this strange household? The complete isolation of the place, and seeing no one of my own age for months at a time.
Monsieur Fenby! Monsieur Fenby, l'eau chaude!
Good morning. How is Delius today?
He had a rather uneasy night. I had to call the man at 3 to lift him into a different position. He's with him now, reading aloud. We take it in turns. I always come into the garden at 8:30. After I have written the letters, I will always call you, and I will be able to tell you what is going to happen during the day. I always like to go and see my little birch tree. I planted it from a seed. I always think that trees grow best if you go and talk to them and look at them.
Oh, yes.
Delius will be brought down at 10:30. We will read to him, and then at 12:30 we will have lunch, punctually.
Of course, yes.
Then whilst I write my thunder letters to the publishers, he will sleep till tea time. It's 4 o'clock. Now, after that would be about the time that he might most need you for work.
I see, yes.
Then at 7 o'clock we have the evening meal. And then perhaps we might take Delius in his little carriage up the Marloth Road as far as the church.
Does Delius attend church?
No? Do you?
Yes. I've been all my life.
I think it would be wisest to keep that from Delius. That's for you. 1 for me, 2 for the man, 3 for you.
Oh. Here I am, sir.
Now, Fenby, just read the headlines in the Continental Daily Mail. I'll tell you if there's anything I want to hear.
The Prime Minister is planning a visit to the United States.
No.
Miners meet today, trying to find a way to call off strike.
No. Are my feet touching?
No, sir.
And my legs straight?
Yes, sir.
Well, go on.
The House of Commons is debating a bill to decide whether...
No. I hate conjectures. Turn on the wireless. There's usually a concert from Radio Paris at this hour.
Beethoven's Fifth.
Yes, Beethoven. Now listen, my boy. Scales, arpeggios, fillings, my boy, fillings. Don't bother your young head about symphonies. Beethoven, Bruckner, Mahler, and that lot with their long, driveling note spinnings, a complete waste of time. A few bars of sincerely felt original music's worth whole pages of that kind of drivel. Throw it away. Go out into the fields and listen to the music of nature. And forget the immortals. I finished with them years ago. Now, Fenby, on my desk in the music room, you'll find the orchestral score of an unfinished work, a poem of life and love.
Sir!
The rug is too heavy. Take it away. I want you to look at the score and tell me what you think of it. Straighten my legs. Forget the brooder.
Sie wohnte noch nicht lange in der Nachbarschaft.
Delius would like you to read to him for a little.
Certainly.
Don't knock, boy. Come in, come in. Don't ever knock, boy. That's all, brooder. You'll find a Mark Twain over there. Begin at chapter 13.
The dinner hour drew near. Yet, strangely enough, the thought brought but slight discomfort to Tom, and hardly any terror, for the morning's experiences had wonderfully built up his confidence. Now just...
There's a crease in my pillow. It's hurting my back. Ah! Ah!
Thank you, Mr. Fenby. I'll manage. Oh, all right, Ducky. All right, Ducky. There we are. That's it. That's it. The dinner hour drew near. Yet, strangely enough, the thought brought but slight discomfort and hardly any...
At 1 in the afternoon, Tom resignedly underwent the ordeal of being dressed for dinner. He found himself as finely clothed as before, but everything different, everything changed from his ruff to his stockings.
Well, that hath had its time. My suffering and my fellow suffering, what matter about them? Do I then strive after happiness? I strive after my work. Well, the lion hath come. My children are nigh. Zarathustra hath grown ripe, mine hour hath come. This is my morning, my day beginneth. Arise now, arise, thou great noontide. Thus spake Zarathustra, and left his cave, glowing and strong like a morning sun coming out of gloomy mountains.
Salisbury lachte. Ich finde sie wunderbar, sagte er. Aber warum ist er in mein Zimmer eingestiegen?
Weeks went by in a changeless routine. Delius was too ill to think about music. The reading continued day and night all round the clock. There was a little church down the road, and I did manage to step in there from time to time. It was a relief to hear a bit of music again. Apart from this, my only recreation was walks in the garden with Jelke. Nobody called on us, and we called on no one. Not even our neighbors.
Here I am, sir. It's good to see you up.
I have a little tune in my mind I want you to take down. You'll find paper and pen on the table.
Ready, Delius?
Ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta. Hold it. Ta-ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Hold it. Ta-ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Hold it. Ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta. Have you got that? Now sing it.
Delius, what key is it in?
A minor.
Well, I can't...
We'll try again. Ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta, ta.
It would help if you called out the notes. Then I could...
Oh, very well. A, B, C, B, C, D, C, D, A, C. Have you got that?
I'm afraid not, sir.
Well, try again. Ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta.
Excuse me.
Fred!
Yelka, that boy is no good. He's too slow. He cannot even take down a simple melody.
You missed lunch.
I was a bit upset.
I'm sure he understands. He was wondering what you thought of the poem of Life and Love.
I can't possibly tell him what I think of it. It's so poor.
You must tell him exactly what you feel. You are the only musician likely to be here for some considerable time. And though I have no technical knowledge to know whether you are right or wrong, I do believe in you. You must forget your youth and stand up to him. But I will always stand by you.
No, Rug. Now, I want you to tell me exactly what you think of it. Now, play.
It starts off with clarinets and bassoons. Frankly, I don't like that second chord. I don't like the way that fifth is doubled there.
Well, go on then. Yes?
I'll play that again for you.
Well, go on, straight on.
I don't care for the way it's repeated. The music seems to sag there.
Sag?
I like this bit here, English horn. Pizzicato. Bassoon. Now the horns. The timpani. Then the woodwind takes it up here.
Ah, yes. I remember.
I feel this is very weak here. It's lacking in taste. It seems to me... I was looking at your Avens here this morning, sir, and it seems to me this sort of thing was done so much better there.
Well, I don't know, boy. Play that bit again.
It's weak, this. I can't get any enthusiasm from music of this kind.
Weak? Weak? What do you mean? That's enough. Thank you. Bruder! Bruder, carry me away!
Come in.
Monsieur Delius vous demande en bas. Monsieur Delius.
Here I am, sir.
Ah.
Delius would like you to hear some of his music.
Thank you.
Oh, really, Yelka, after all these years, you don't know the difference between the first side and the second.
And I was so anxious to get the needle right. So easily done, stupid lettering.
Thank you, Delius.
Get the brooder. Now, tomorrow, if I'm feeling well enough, I'll get the man to carry me upstairs to the music room. We'll see if something can't be done about that poem.
Yes, Delius.
And don't let the stove go out. It was chilly in there today.
Fred would enjoy a dandelion salad. Would you like a walk? I've got a little fork for you.
I'd like that.
Today we had a letter from Universal Edition. Delius's publishers, they want to do a new edition of Hassan. I've asked them to send the proofs. Perhaps you could correct them. Send them back for us.
I'd be delighted. Wasn't Hassan one of the last things Delius wrote before he lost his sight?
Yes, he was gradually losing the power of his hands, but he was still able to see to supervise these things. Percy Granger helped him with the orchestration of some of the dance numbers up in our cottage in Norway. That was about the time I was carting him all over Europe, spending a small fortune trying to cure him. There are times when I would love Fred to hear his music again in the concert hall. The last time, Wiesbaden, gone there for cure.
Isn't there anything that can be done?
No, we're trying homeopathic remedies. Because these days Fred doesn't care if his music is played or not, but I've been writing to Beecham, asking him, why can't he record Paris? And when is he going to do the Songs of Sunset again? I went through the Radio Times, and there is not a single piece of Delius this week. I said I've been through the Radio Times. There's not a single piece of Delius this week. Fred and I used to pick primroses here.
Now then, Fenby, let's have that little tune that you liked, the bit you picked out before. It's immediately after that, it seems to me, that the real trouble lies. Now begin where it starts on the strings. That's right.
And the clarinets come in. Now, flute and clarinet in octaves. 2 horns and bass clarinet.
Yes, I remember. Now it's there. I'm not happy about it from here onwards. Now we better have ta, 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 ta. Well, then start then on a quarter note. A quarter note, I said.
That is a quarter note.
Try again. Yes. D sharp E. Ta ta.
But those aren't quarter notes, Delius. Quarter notes are surely semiquavers. You sang a crotchet in a minute.
Quarter note. A quarter note is a crotchet.
But, oh, I see. That's the German nomenclature. I was brought up the English way.
No, not that way. Now, D sharp to E, first violins. Now, write that bit down. Ready? Got it,
yes,
got it,
sir.
got it. Ta, 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 ta. No. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, ta, ta. Well, play it again. What have you got in your bass? It was along this road, Fenby, that I contemplated all my finest works. Now then, Fenby, where were we from yesterday? Cellos and basses.
Yes, I think it should be an A, cellos and basses.
Very good. Now, inner parts. Get your violins a C sharp. Yes, play it. Yes, and yes, violas. What have you got in the violas?
Well, I've nothing there.
Well, better get a B flat there. Yes, and play it like that. Oh. Yes, just a little excitement.
Now I'll try and play it all.
Yes, now take your C sharp to E, second violins. Yes, that's it. Against F sharp and A, next bar, first violins. Put a G there.
Where does the G go?
Divide your cellos. G in the first half. Yes, low A in the second. Yes, add a bassoon there. Oh, write that down.
Shouldn't the bass move a little there, Delius?
No. Put a pizzicato on the first beat. No, better on the third beat. Yes, now move your inner parts down a semitone. Bring the oboe in, top A, ta-ta-ta-ta, triplet on the first beat. Yes, now play it all. No, you forgot the pizzicato in the basses. Yes. That's it, Eric. Good. I'm pleased with what we did today, Eric. We must celebrate. Pauline, champagne.
Oui, monsieur.
Right, Delius. Thank you, Eric. Sit down. What have you got there, Yelka?
Brig Fair, Fred.
Oh, no, not that one. Not tonight. Play that record of the Revelers. Old Man River.
Old Man River, that old man River, he must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keep rolling, he keep on rolling along, rolling along. He don't plant potatoes, he don't plant cotton, and then that planting is soon forgotten. But old man River, he just keep rolling along, rolling along.
Well, that was how the Negroes used to sing in Florida. Oh, I loved Florida. I was demoralized when I left Bradford. It was in 1884, and I was just about your age when I sailed for America. I wouldn't join my father in the wool business, and he wouldn't let me be a musician. So I was packed off to grow oranges.
All right, Peggy.
It was Thomas Ward who saved me. He was an organist I met in Jacksonville. And he taught me everything I wanted to know about harmony and counterpoint. I didn't realize his sterling until I went to Leipzig Conservatoire. He came over to my orange plantation at Solano Grove and gave me lessons, and that was how I came to write Appalachia. Put it on, Yelka. But it wasn't all work. At nights, we used to go out with the Negro servants to shoot alligators in the creeks. Oh, I got on very well with the Negroes. I loved to hear them improvising their songs with a real instinct for harmony. I used to spend many an evening on my veranda smoking a cigar, listening to their songs across the woods from the next plantation. And it was hearing them singing in these romantic surroundings I first felt the urge to express myself in music. and get the brooder.
We won't wait for the brooder to come back, Fred. Eric and I'll carry you up.
Oh, no, you'd only drop me.
No, Fred, we'll manage.
All right.
Now then, if you're ready, we'll lift you.
Put your arms around our shoulders, Delius.
Sit. Now, up we go.
And make sure that the bedroom door is open. Last night it was closed, and to open it, he used my head as a battering ram. Where's the sun?
There's a bit of cloud in the way.
But you said it was coming. I don't feel it yet.
There'll be a break in the cloud soon.
When? When?
About a minute.
You can understand the ancient Persians worshipping the sun. How still it is today. Nature is wonderful. It was through sitting and gazing at nature out in Florida that I gradually learned the way in which I should eventually find myself. But it wasn't until years after we'd settled down here that I really found myself. Nobody could help me. Contemplation, like composition, cannot be taught. What on earth's that?
Good morning, Fred. How are you today?
Percy!
He's throwing a tennis ball over the roof.
I tried to catch it the other side. Go and stop him before he breaks his neck.
Who is it, Delius?
That was Percy Granger, Eric. Sometimes he composes.
That's Percy Granger. Sometimes he composes.
How's your wife, Percy?
She's gone off to Paris to paint.
To paint? Well, if I know anything about it, she'll paint all right. I didn't live in Paris for nothing, and all my friends were painters. Have you brought your arrangement of Song of the High Hills?
Yes, I brought it, Fred.
Well, you can play it to me tonight, if we ever get back. Thank you, Percy. Thank you, Eric. That was grand. It took me right back to Norway and the mountains. Oh, and that 7 hours lugging up the mountain track.
Just before his sight failed, Fred insisted upon being carried up a mountain to see the sunset on the hills in the distance.
We knocked up a chair on a couple of poles and carried Fred up between us. I was at one end and we had this great Norwegian ox at the other.
Oh, and remember how the big Norse ox sprained his wrist and Jelka had to give him a hand.
Enormous clouds that piled themselves up near the top. It seemed hopeless.
Suddenly, they all drifted away. And there was the most glorious sunset.
And going back, I slid down the mountainside on my backside.
Come on, Fenby, we've only just started. I think it's marvellous what you're doing for Fred. I tried to help him once in Norway with the hussar music. You could still see then, but it was hopeless. He hates repetition. And he can't explain himself, as you no doubt found out. I'll tell you one thing. If you ever get away from here, you'll never want to hear another note of Delius as long as you live. So long, Fenby! By the time you get back, I'll be gone.
Good morning. You're from next door.
I'm from Smallhide, in Kent.
I'm from Yorkshire. Eric Fenby.
Do you like Jelka's house? I should think you're her type. Has she ever painted you?
Mrs. Delius, you mean? No, she doesn't paint. She's far too busy with Delius.
There used to be another painter here, too. A woman. A friend of hers. They shared it. Do you go to church?
Yes?
Do you know the curé?
I've seen him at Mass.
He used to live in our house.
Oh.
Did you know that he was a peeping Tom? Jelka used to paint in the garden in the summer.
She's fond of flowers.
And nudes. There was a time when there was a house full of them. From Paris. Models. Just imagine. Delius and all those women. And Jelka and her girlfriend both crazy about him.
Well, she got him in the end.
And then it was too late.
3. That's for me.
want of me, Delius?
Where have you been? I wanted to dictate a progression for orchestra, and now I've forgotten it.
I'm sorry, Delius. I was talking to the girl next door.
What are your intentions towards this girl? Marriage? Oh, she'll bring a fine dowry with her and a beautiful house. Not to be sneered at, I admit.
But, Delius, I hardly know the girl.
Well, you must never marry. An artist should never marry. He should be as free as the winds. Oh, amuse yourself with as many women as you like, but for the sake of your art, never marry one. It's fatal. And listen, if ever you have to marry a girl who's more in love with your art than you. It's only from your art that you will find lasting happiness in life, not from love. Love is a madness. You're a fool if you ever marry.
Thank you for your advice.
And it's the same with this church nonsense.
Fred, it's time for your rest.
I hear you've been going to the local church.
I'll go and fetch the road.
Well, if you must go to church, go to the next village.
I go now, sir.
Oh, I regret being the cause of that outburst. It was really most embarrassing.
Oh, I'm used to that. You know, there are times when I wonder if I can go on. I've never stood in his way. I've always given him the right conditions for work.
But he's so hard, so stern. It must be his illness.
No. No. You should have known him when he was well. You know, he'd come downstairs from the music room on Fridays during our early years here. And he'd go off to Paris. Sometimes he'd stay away for days. I just had to stand by while he enjoyed himself with other women. There were terrible scenes with abortions, everything. But I knew that he'd always come back to me. And he did.
I can't reconcile such hardness with such lovely music.
Will you hear my confession, Father?
Eric, I've been thinking, the sooner you throw away those great Christian blinkers and get rid of all this religious humbug, the better. It has paralyzed music all along. Now tell me, what Catholic ever wrote a piece of music worth hearing?
But, Delius, what about the romantic thing that sprang from the very heart of the Catholic Church? Plain song.
Dull, my boy, dull.
Well, how about Haydn's oratorio, The Creation? And that wonderful passage that begins, and God created...
God? God? I don't know him. And don't talk to me about oratorios. Elgar wasted most of his life writing long-winded oratorios. He told me himself it was the penalty of his English environment. But he wasn't as bad as Parry. He would have set the whole Bible to music if he'd lived long enough. Oh, to be a success in England, you've got to be a second Mendelssohn. He gave the public what they wanted. Oh, rest in the Lord. My Requiem has been played in England only once.
once. And then what a fiasco. The press was outraged. They said it was a pagan cry against Christianity. Christianity, I'm inclined to think the whole thing a myth. Human beings are incredible. They believe anything to escape reality. But one thing is certain, English music will never be any good till they get rid of Jesus. My legs. Have you brought your notebook, Eric?
Yes, Delius.
Get it. Are you ready?
In a moment.
Ready then? Come on,
Yes,
come
Delius.
on. I want you to write down a new opening to our poem. And I don't like that title. Call it Song of Summer. I want you to imagine we're sitting on the cliffs in the heather looking out over the sea. And the sustained chord in the high strings suggests the clear sky and the stillness and calmness of the scene. Now then, 7/4 in the bar, 4 plus 3. Divided strings, chord of D major, A, D, F sharp. The lowest note, the A strings and the violas. Now, Eric, you remember that figure that comes in with the violins when the music becomes more animated? Yonder,
Yes, David. Yes,
well, I'm
yes.
introducing it here to suggest the gentle rise and fall of the waves. Now, I want a semi-quaver run up in tones, in the solo flute, from top D to A. Now, 3 beats on the A, and then come down again. Tier, tier, hold it for the rest of the bar. Now, the tier figure is the same value as that which comes later in the solo oboe passage.
Is the tier in the flute G natural, Delius?
Yes.
Right.
The flute figure suggests a seagull flying by.
This was our greatest achievement. Whenever Delius was well enough, we worked. We finished a violin sonata, 2 vocal works, and several pieces for orchestra. After 4 years, it seemed as if my task was completed.
Now, Eric, this is our biggest task. Everything we've done hitherto was just a preparation for this. There are just some sketches I made on billheads in Norway years ago. Now, Jelka has written out the words of the 5 movements. You've got the words of the first poem.
Yes.
Now then, get your score paper. We shall want the biggest kind. Yes, ready? 32 staves, 2 flutes, 2 oboes, English horn, 2 B-flat clarinets, bass clarinet, 3 bassoons, double bassoon, 4 horns in F, 3 trumpets in C, 3 tenor trombones and tuba, timpani, harps, 1st and 2nd sopranos, 1st and 2nd altos, 1st and 2nd tenors, 1st and 2nd basses, 4 parts each, and the strings. Now, Eric, read the words of the first poem.
How sweet the silent backward tracings, the wanderings as in dreams, the meditations of old times resumed, their loves, joys, persons, voyages. Apple orchards, the trees all covered with blossoms, wheat fields carpeted far and near in vital emerald green. The eternal, exhaustless freshness of each early morning, The yellow, golden, transparent haze of the warm afternoon sun. The aspiring lilac bushes with profuse purple and white flowers.
Now, Eric, are you ready?
Yes, Delius.
4 in a bar. Cellos, chord of D. No, an octave lower. Now, on the third beat, voices. On the third beat, 1, 2, how sweet, second soprano's top D. How sweet, yes, that's it. Eric, my dear boy, I drink to your health. Rouse. I want to give you a memento that you will always keep in memory of these years here with me. Take this and wear it for me. You have given me a new lease of life.
Thank you, sir. At the end of 5 years, our work was finished. And on the understanding that Delius was to send for me should he want to compose again, I left for England to supervise the publication of all the dictated works. My sisters welcomed me home with a party. After the party, I suffered a nervous breakdown and for a time lost the use of both my legs. Whilst I was recovering from this illness, a telegram arrived from France. Please come at once. I'm operated on tomorrow. Clinic St. Joseph, Fontainebleau, Yelkin.
Here I am, Delius.
Eric! Eric, is it you, Eric? Oh, lad, it's good to have you back. Come here. Come here. Where are you? Oh, what a catastrophe this is. Yelka so ill, and here I am left alone. My man is so rough and uncouth. I want you to sleep there in Yelka's bed beside me.
No, it'll be all right, Delius. Us Yorkshire tykes will pull through. I saw Yelka at Fontainebleau. She's all right. She'll be home in a few days.
What would we have done if she had died?
twist my pajama sleeve round. There's a crinkle under my arm. Will you read, lad? Let's read Huckleberry Finn again.
You don't know about me without you've read a book by the name of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, but that ain't no matter. Next night, we stuck a picture which Tom drawed in blood of a skull and crossbones on the front door. And next night, another one of a coffin on the back door. I never see a family in such a sweat. Pauline's here, baby.
Merci.
Right, Julius. Is it too hot? I read to Delius all day long and most of the night. His attacks occurred with increasing regularity, and none of his usual medicines and tablets seemed able to relieve his suffering. He slept hardly at all, and ate next to nothing. The doctor became a regular visitor, but his calls did little good. He always went through the usual routine. Then he started giving Delius morphine injections. Although these relieved his pain for a while, he continued to grow weaker. Delius would have no one else in the room, so I was unable to visit Jelka in the nursing home. I heard that the operation, it was for cancer, had been successful and that she would be home soon. After a fortnight, I was on volume 9 of Mark Twain. Wherever the exiled Englishman can find in his new home resemblances to his old one, he is touched to the marrow of his being. The love that is in his heart inspires his imagination, and these allied forces transfigure those resemblances into authentic duplicates of the revered originals. Delius? Who do you think is here?
Jelka?
Pauline, you better send for the doctor. The doctor. He's growing weaker. All right. All right, I've sent for the doctor. There's nothing else we can do for him. Pauline will be with you in a few moments.
If you can just manage for tonight, there's a nurse coming in the morning.
Monsieur Fenby, since you appear to be the only responsible person in the house, I must warn you that Monsieur Delius cannot be expected to live for more than a few days. You understand?
Surely he'll pull round again. He's had a bad turn like this before.
I don't think so. Anyway, when he becomes too restless, you will send for me. I'll give another injection of morphine. There's nothing more I can do. You understand?
Delius is full of life. I know there's hope for him.
Monsieur Fenby, there has been no hope for 30 years. Your friend is dying of syphilis.
Monsieur Fenby, allez dormir, je vais rester avec lui. Monsieur Fenby, Monsieur Fenby, réveillez-vous, réveillez-vous. Il va très très mal.
Delius. Delius? This is Eric. Still flickering.
Le docteur est là.
His hand's going cold.
Il est mort.
Oui, il est mort.
The death occurred early this morning at his home in France of Frederick Delius, the composer. Born in Bradford, Yorkshire in 1863, Delius spent most of his days abroad. His chief inspiration throughout his life was nature, no matter whether the scene was England, France, Florida, or Norway. But like Wordsworth, he learned to hear in it the still, sad music of humanity. After 1918, Delius gradually became more and more subject to an illness which left him totally blind and completely paralyzed for the last years of his life. Despite these incredible handicaps, he was still able to compose to within a few months of his death. In this, he was aided by his amanuensis, Frederick Fenby. Here is a moment from one of his last works, A Song of Summer.